I still remember that night when the space between heaven and earth shrinked, when the sky turned gray and the cheerful kid that I was drowned. All the words that I'd ever known crushed like shards on the deepest grounds of my soul. I, a joyful kid, traded playgrounds and smiles for endless disheartening thoughts and salt tears. I was gone. Today, dear people, I'm about to tell you all a story which I never told anybody before in public. I was only 13 years old when life taught me about self-acceptance and not taking anything for granted in life. Being at the wrong time in the wrong place made me witness of a traumatizing experience which would leave its marks on my face for the rest of my life. I started to stutter. I lost my voice, my confidence, myself. From then on, life would be an enormous steep cliff of which I would fall again and again each time I tried climbing it. Stuttering became this glooming cloud that followed me everywhere I go and cast a dark shadow over everything I did. Every time that I tried to speak, it felt like some cruel monster was released out of my mouth to destroy me. I couldn't stand hearing myself or seeing the pitiful reaction on people's faces when I would stumble like a hell-bent idiot in front of them. I was scared to death for my own voice. I was held hostage by the fear of speaking. I was extremely ashamed of my stuttering, so I started to hide it. When going out, I never ordered the food that I wanted. At school, I never asked the questions that I wanted to ask. And when meeting somebody new, I never introduced myself. It sounds silly, I know, but that's stuttering. You just can't say the words that you want to. And if you try, it makes you regret that as soon as you open your mouth. So I just decided to shut up and avoid speaking as much as possible. I regularly called in sick at school. I skipped classes, sometimes even pretended to strangers that I was deaf and dumb, hoping that they wouldn't ask me more questions. I know, it's pathetic. I even remembering stabbing myself once with a pencil at school when I had a presentation, only to have an excuse to get out of school. I was constantly fleeing from myself. Then I reached this breaking point. That night when I missed the last bus to home, I spent the whole night staring at my cell phone. 79 calls, and I couldn't find the courage to answer him once. My own dad. I decided to walk home that night, 15 miles by feet. When I finally arrived at home at 4 a.m., I knocked at the door. He stood there in the hallway, waiting for me. Never had I seen him being more worried. "Why don't you answer your phone?" Yeah. I couldn't look him in the eyes. I just stood there, ashamed. My eyes got wet. I took a deep breath, and I whispered to him, "Dad, I don't want to go on like this anymore." The next moment, I burst into tears, and he embraced me. It felt like I had no control of my life anymore. I'll never forget this feeling. We think it's easy to just hide the parts of ourselves that we don't like in some empty, dark room where nobody ever comes. To just close that door, lock it, and throw away the keys. But the truth is, those ugly parts, they keep haunting us as long as we keep running from them. They'll keep knocking on that same door on which we locked them up behind until they eventually break out and devour us. And the same was for my stuttering. The more I tried to hide it, the worse it got. And soon there was no word that I could pronounce without immensely stumbling on it. There was no way out anymore. It was either stand up or collapse. And in an attempt to obey my need for self-expression, I started to write. Words that never found their way to the world at daylight got revived at night with a pen and a piece of paper. Every word that I wrote felt like I found the last piece back of myself. Every drop of ink felt like freedom. I literally wrote myself out of misery. It took me a while, but this way I managed to escape this dark, gloomy place in which I would punish myself every day for just being who I am. And I know it may sound quite unimaginable when you hear me speaking like this right now, but I still wake up every morning looking in the mirror at a man whose words can't always find peace with fluency. But the difference between now and then is now I learn to see it as a strength rather than seeing it as an obstacle standing in the way of me and my dreams. And I know I'm not even close to fluent speaking yet, and maybe I will never be, but that's okay. I mean, this whole process and everything that comes with it is just part of who I am, and I'm happy with that. What I'm trying to tell you all, guys, is we all have this thing that we are struggling with. We all have this thing whispering us at night how ugly, bad, or unworthy we are. We all have this thing putting us to fear. We all have this thing holding us from finding the courage to follow our dreams. But we have to ask ourselves, for how long are we going to allow these fears to hold us back from what we really want to do in life? Fear, dear people, is the most destructive of all human diseases. Fear kills dreams. Fear kills hope. Fear is paralyzing. I just want you all to stop with everything that you're doing and ask yourself, am I satisfied with who I am and what I'm doing right now in life? Is this it? Are you living your dream? Or do you believe somewhere deep in your heart that there are greater things for you to do in life? I challenge you to reframe your fears, turn them inside out from fear for yourself, from shame for yourself into action for the world, and fulfill your legacy. Don't deprive the world from your talents, please. Believing in yourself is important. I can tell you that. Just a little bit of confidence can save your life. And I know it's not always going to be easy because there will be bad days. But when they come, keep calm, have faith, let go. Know that now is only a moment and that if today gets as bad as it gets, by tomorrow, today will have ended. Everyone knows pain, but we were never meant to hold it forever. We were never meant to hold it so closely that it would burn us. Let it go. And if you think for 1 second that no one knows what you've been going through, be accepting of the fact that you are wrong, that the long drawn, heavy breaths of despair have at times been felt by everyone. Pain is part of the human condition, and that alone makes us all heroes. Life is going to come at you with tough times and hard choices, and all you got to fight back with is your voice, your thoughts, your smiles. There are no tricks here, be aware of that. Be a mirror reflecting yourself back. Remember all the times that you thought that all of this was too hard, but you never make it through. Remember the times that you could have pressed quit, but you hit continue. Be forgiving. Apologize to yourself. Living in a burden of shame is not living. Giving your focus to fear will leave your entire self absent of what you need. Love and pain are beasts, and the one that grows is the one you feed. Be persistent. Bloom. Be the flower that bloomed in the place in which it never was assumed to grow. Prove the world wrong. And I know you won't always be right. And also you won't always be improving. But you will always be learning. Try. Please, just try. And if you tell me, what if I fail? I tell you, dear you, what if you fly? Thank you.